Howdy folks, Freedom here. I'm going to install a power steering cooler in my 86 IROC. So stay tuned and watch it go, man. Let's get her done. Alright guys, basically I popped all this air intake air filter setup off, and underneath it I got my engine oil cooler hidden there in front of the radiator, and I got my power steering cooler just kind of sitting here. Alright, now that I got it pretty much where I want it, I'm going to take this screwdriver, this little piece of shit, I'm going to scribe on the radiator support where the center line of this hole is going to be. So now they got that marked, I'm going to pull this deal out, and I'm going to go ahead and drill away and bolt this thing in place. Now that we got our holes drilled, I'm going to go ahead and grab these little, I guess you call them J-clips or whatever. Anyways, it's got a little threaded nutsert clippy deal on it. I'm going to grab some of these grommets. It's going to act as like a little isolator for vibration and stuff. So anyways, going to grab a couple of these and then find some bolts and nuts and rock and roll. Alright, so basically these little clips will fit pretty much right on here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these and stick it in the car and put the bushings in it and find some bolts and bolt her up. Alright, so we're going to vacuum up our shavings here. And then we're going to go ahead and put some paint on the hole so they don't rust. Okay, that's good. Let's go bolt her on. Okay, so basically I removed a few bolts for the air dam. I'm just going to slide this thing out of the way so I can gain access to my bolts so I can get this thing together real quick. Alright, now that we got it kind of loosely mocked up, I'm going to go ahead and take my wrench here, and I'm going to go ahead and snug these bolts pretty much tight. You know, and now that the cooler's mounted, I'm going to attach my metal bracket on the upper side. Alright, now we got this dialed in here. I'm going to go ahead and tack on my little metal upper bracket so to keep this thing rock solid. So anyways, I'm going to go weld this thing up right now, so hang on to your butt. Okay, yeah. Welding and filming is kind of dumb, but I got it done. Check it out. So, okay, that's tacked in place. We are good to go. We are fucking solid. So I'm going to go ahead and put my 6AN fittings inside this cooler and go ahead and mount the fitting inside the steering box here, which I will pull the return line out of the steering box out and put it in this -6 AN fitting. And that'll connect my lines up, one in, one out, one in the fucking in the back of the pump here, and we will be good to go. Okay, before we put these fittings in, we're going to squirt them down with a little WD-40, because you definitely don't want to put O-rings in dry. That's fucking stupid. So I'm going to just squirt a little lube on there, and I'm going to screw them in, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so basically the standard GM steering box, we're going to spin this guy off here. Is the low pressure return line. Anyways, it's kind of like a metric. Anyways, it's like a metric box. It's a weird fucking year. Anyways, I called up my dudes at Godman Performance, and they sold me on this fancy little fitting here that screws into the metric box and converts it to a -6. So I'm going to pop this guy out here, and I'm going to screw in our new fitting right there. I'm going to pull off all this old factory shit. Just going to let the fluid drain out into this drip pan underneath the car. I'm going to move on to the next set of fittings. Alright, anyways, everything's loose. Basically, I'm going to have to go ahead and jack up the car because this factory pre-bent line is being kind of stubborn. And to save from cutting it in half and just pulling it out the easy way, I'm going to save this thing, jack it up, And since this car sits super low to the ground, I'm going to jack it up under the subframe connector so I can get it up high enough so I can pull that line out. Anyways, if you do not have subframe connectors on a 3rd generation Camaro, you sure as fuck should go ahead and do it, because these cars are not that strong. And okay, a little bit of a wrestling match, and this is what the factory power steering cooler setup looks like on an 86 IROC. This just kind of goes underneath the radiator support, and it gets cool air from that. Anyways, this is not good enough for road racing purposes, so alright, to loosen up the steering pump, we're going to loosen this 14mm deal, and then we're going to go ahead and drop the pump down, which is going to allow us to take this fucking stubborn ass little fitting out of here. So now that's out, the fluid is draining into the pan. So this is our fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that guy and put some pipe dope on it and screw it in there. Okay, now that we got the old fitting out of the steering pump, we got our new fitting that goes in the back of the pump right here, and I set it in the vise real loosely so I don't mar up the anodizing finish. And I'm going to take my thread tape and I'm going to wrap it around there so that when I put it on, it doesn't get all fucked up and unwind. So what you want to do is, if you're a total retard, imagine you're looking at it directly, you know, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so you want to put your thread tape on there so that when you screw it on, it doesn't kind of ball up and get kind of crappy. So anyways, we're going to screw it on like this, and I'm going to screw it in the pump. So you're going to want to wrap it around, I'd probably say 2 times, probably good enough. Go ahead and pull it real tight, snap it off, you're good to go. Let's go put her in. So we're going to spin that on there, finger tight, then we're going to go grab our wrench, and we will tighten it down nice and snug. Okay, good rule of thumb so you don't look like a retard on YouTube is these Earl's fittings are standard SAE, so you do not need a metric wrench. It is a, well shit, I guess it's a 5/8. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this guy up, and I will show you about the lines here in just 2 seconds. Alright guys, anyways, just so you know that power steering fluid is corrosive, so it's kind of like brake fluid or something like that. So you want to use this Teflon lined braided hose. You definitely do not want to use rubber lined, because it will eat through that shit fast as fuck. So anyways, use a Teflon line, you'll be good to go. I'm going to take some measurements, I'm going to chuck it up in the vise, and I'll show you how to make the fittings. Rock and roll. You definitely want to use aluminum wrenches so they're not going to mar up the finish at all. But anyways, note to self, do not buy the Summit. Spend the extra $20 and get the Earl's aluminum wrench set, because I mean, granted, these are expensive, they're probably $100, but these literally don't fit shit. So we're going to start by slipping our fitting over the end of it. Then we will grab a little screwdriver in between the braided section. We'll just go ahead and run it around in there so it actually becomes a separation. We're going to take our ferrule here. We're going to slide it on the outside of the Teflon line, and it's going to kind of go in between the, it's going to spread out the stainless section. So check it out. Okay, now that we got that little ferrule fully seated up against the Teflon line, we're going to go ahead and scoot this this end up there, get it ready for installation. So we're going to take our can of WD-40, spray a little on our fitting here. We're going to take it like, okay, now that we got that seated, we're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to go ahead and pull this back over, get it started. I'm going to grab some wrenches and tighten them up. We're just going to go ahead and snug this guy up so it spreads the deal out. I got it just in the vise because I don't have one of those fancy clamps that you can actually buy from the Summit I do it kind of poor man style, just in a vise with some cardboard.
Right, so that makes a rock solid connection. It will definitely not pull off. So you want to use the right parts for the right job. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and repeat. I measured it for length and test fit it, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this one and make this one up and do the same for the other side.
Alright, so I got it all installed. Everything is pretty good. I got my lines routed and made up. So I'm going to go ahead and top it off with some power steering fluid. So I'm going to go lift up on this. I'm going to grab my 9/16 and go ahead and snug down that upper bolt, lock it down in place so it's nice and tight. So yeah, anyways, back to it. Let's go ahead and put this thing back together, shall we? Okay, I know that on a stock car it's a little easier to install this thing, but literally I have to fucking shoehorn this deal around the water neck, so I'm gonna need two hands. God damn it! Get in there and start her up and warm it up. Let it bleed the air out of the system and check for leaks. So. Alright, so since it's jacked up, I'm going to go ahead and, I got the fluid topped off, I'm going to go ahead and move the steering wheel lock to lock. So good.